I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has.
Yeah, Harry saying that the king, who's battling cancer, won't even speak to him because of that legal battle. Harry, who is fifth in line to the throne, hasn't brought Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth, King Charles's grandchildren, of course, to the UK since 2022 because of his security downgrade.
What's the quietest way a king can draw blood? No speeches, no public scolding, just a sword, a shoulder and a single syllable, Sir. When King Charles taps David Beckham next week, the blade won't pierce skin, but it will slice straight through the noise surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The timing is flawless. While the Sussexes juggle lawsuits, podcasts and lavender-sprinkled lifestyle dreams, Charles is about to knight Britain's most bankable icon. One ceremony, one headline, and suddenly the monarch reminds the world he can rewrite the family's story without uttering a word. Since 2020, the royal stage has looked less like Buckingham and more like Netflix.
Your family, especially William and Kate, didn't develop reservations about Meghan because of the way she bullied palace staff. She was simply the victim of royal racism. All of this is nonsense.
A conversation with you,
with Harry,
about
a prince trading titles for TV, a duchess reading private grievances into global microphones, and a father-turned-king holding his tongue while tabloids feast. Harry's memoir Spare painted Charles as distant. Oprah's Couch added emotional subtitles. Yet through every broadcast, the new monarch kept a single strategy: stay regal, stay still, and wait. Because in monarchy, silence is never empty. It's loading. Tonight, that silence ends with a sword. The knighthood reveals what Charles was polishing behind the scenes, a counter-narrative that doesn't debate Harry's accusations, but eclipses them with a national celebration. No rebuttal needed, just pageantry powerful enough to make Netflix feel like background noise.
All right, well, the rift in the royal family is once again in the spotlight, with Prince Harry airing his grievances to the world after losing a security battle.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point.
But that silence carried a signal. Each royal engagement, each hands in pockets walkabout, signalled patience. The king wasn't ignoring his youngest son. He was choreographing the moment he'd remind everyone who still writes the footnotes in British history. Rewind to 2018. David and Victoria Beckham were front row at St George's Chapel, cheering on Harry's new chapter. Invitations flowed both ways. Vogue covers hinted at a glam Fab Four of football royalty and actual royalty. Then came the rumour. Meghan believed Victoria leaked personal tips to tabloids. Proof? None. Confrontation? Zero. Fallout? Immediate.
Hasn't he? I actually feel for the first time a bit sorry for him. He's so lost.
He's deep down in that burrow, isn't he? It's sort of hard to retrieve yourself out of that.
Well, that interview sparked widespread backlash, with a new poll revealing a majority of Brits want to see Harry stripped of his HRH title. For more, we're joined by royal expert.
One misfired suspicion froze a friendship that once looked bulletproof. The chill turned Arctic in 2022 when Harry allegedly gave David the cold shoulder at the Invictus Games after Meghan raised concerns. For a man whose global charity literally amplifies wounded veterans through sport, brushing off England's most famous captain wasn't just awkward, it was ammunition for every Fleet Street headline. Suddenly, the Sussexes and Beckhams weren't swapping Christmas texts, they were choosing separate VIP tents. What looked like a power couple alliance disintegrated into icy nods and polite distance, cracks that gossip columns widened into a canyon.
Meghan's detractors have been calling for them to be stripped of their HRH since they left the royal family over 5 years ago. But those calls seem to be growing louder and from a more widespread community. And I think that's partly because of this interview over the weekend, which has actually backfired spectacularly.
Royal courtiers whispered that Charles took careful note of which friendships melted and which ones crystallised under pressure. Enter Brooklyn Beckham, the Beckhams' eldest, who by 2023 was half a world away from London cameras, building a sun-drenched life in California with actress-heiress Nicola Peltz. Reports say Harry and Meghan became mentors in West Coast living, hosting casual barbecues, sharing PR advice, offering the kind of freedom playbook they themselves wrote post-Megxit. That bond thrilled tabloids, the prodigal prince linking arms with the stylish scion whose parents were suddenly persona non grata in Sussex circles.
Just wait until Prince William is king. I think he's going to put his handsome foot down and he is going to rock Meghan Markle's world. Meghan Markle is going to be humbled very quickly.
According to a report in OK Magazine, Prince William plans on stripping both Harry and Meghan of their HRH titles.
For the king, it added a touch of Shakespeare. Two houses, both alike in celebrity, quietly swirling in California's orange blossom air while Britain's grey palaces watched. And that's exactly when Charles sharpened his blade. He didn't scold, didn't sulk, he scheduled. He penciled in the King's Foundation Awards at St James's Palace, called Beckham onto the guest list and let cameras capture them, laughing among Nobel laureates and Hollywood legends. June 12, 2025, the palace banquet had more Oscar winners than a Beverly Hills after-party.
The quote, Prince William plans to flex his muscles and wipe his wayward brother Prince Harry and his power-hungry wife Meghan from the history books, it says.
There are growing calls to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. The New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough.
Meryl Streep, Kate Winslet, Stanley Tucci. Yet the flashbulb stuck to one face, Beckham's. Whispered confirmations trickled through press rows. The star forward was already on the official birthday honours list, set to become Sir David within days. For context, Beckham received an OBE back in 2003. The knighthood is the summit, a testament not only to his football feats but to 20 years of philanthropy, from UNICEF ambassadorships to his ambassadorship for Charles's own charity.
Can't imagine having to feel like it's appropriate to have those sorts of close and should be otherwise private family conversations.
Picture he tries to paint with Queen Elizabeth, even saying during that BBC interview that the Queen wanted him to have this level of security.
The symbolism is surgical. Beckham is Britain's model of global fame handled with discipline and deference, the antithesis of the runaway prince trope. As the exclusive Fox report framed it, both the king and the ex-midfielder are navigating public feuds with their sons. Charles's olive branch is a sword, Beckham's is an embrace. The headline basically writes itself: 2 fathers, 2 families, 1 title upgrade. And for Harry, watching 8 time zones away, it lands like a stadium roar he can't mute. Numbers rarely lie, and Beckham's balance sheet is louder than any gossip show. Adidas lifetime partnership, $160 million, into Miami valuation skyrocketing thanks to Lionel Messi. Endorsements with Pepsi, Tudor, Maserati. He owns chic pads in Holland Park, the Cotswolds, Miami and Dubai. A real estate roulette that pays out every spin. Meanwhile, the Sussex P&L reads shakier. Spotify pulled the plug on archetypes, leaving a rumoured $20 million gap. Netflix deliverables loom under watchful accountants. Public sympathy polls in Britain hover at basement levels. When a king crowns the man your camp labelled unfriendly, he's not rewarding celebrity. He's reasserting who controls soft power inside the realm. Charles doesn't need hashtags, he has honours. He doesn't sue newspapers, he outranks them. And aligning with Beckham tells every sponsor, broadcaster, and football-mad teenager exactly where cachet still resides. Arm's length from the throne, not 5,000 miles west in Montecito. While Palisades iron knighthood schedules, Meghan Markle is filing hospitality trademarks. American Riviera Orchard promises restaurants, hotels, even vacation rentals. It's ambitious, maybe audacious. Hospitality bleeds human resource headaches, high turnover, razor-thin margins, relentless Yelp scrutiny. The Sussex staffing record, nearly 20 departures in 5 years, some citing 5 a.m. emails and morale-melting micromanagement. Royal watchers joke the brand sounds more Motel Marley than Motel One. Industry insiders stare at cost lines. £15 dessert plates decorated with edible rose petals rarely survive beyond influencer hype. And in a sector where the customer is king, any whiff of diva management turns reviews toxic. Running a palace is one thing, running a pantry quite another. And patrons who relish Airbnb farm-to-table chic might balk if their 40 lavender latte arrives with a side of lecture on finding your authentic path. Remember the viral jam splatter episode on Meghan's short-lived cooking show? Flour on the floor, milk on the stove, gorgeous lighting, but viewers fixated on chaos they could almost smell. That aesthetic works for TikTok but terrifies health inspectors. Add rumours of flour sprinkles on burgers and rose petal pizza, dishes so photogenic they make stomachs nervous. Instagrammable dinners attract a first wave of diners. Repeat bookings require comfort, not novelty. Beckham learned that lesson quietly with his minimalist Guildhall cafe venture. Stripped-back decor, no hype, steady foot traffic. Brand grace, not glitter. And that's the paradox. Meghan sells the aspiration of mindful living, yet her narrative often skews maximal. More concepts, more trademarks, more quotes on linen napkins. In hospitality, excess can feel exhausting. Customers crave stories, yes, but stories they can chew, not decode. The entertainment pivot isn't smoother. Season 2 of With Love, Meghan aims for A-list couches, but lands mostly polite declines. Dolly Parton passed. Beyoncé is unavailable. Only Chrissy Teigen, currently nursing her own image rehab, has agreed to tape. When a duchess can't land marquee guests, the algorithm senses retreat. Studios smell oversaturation. PR spin rebrands the lull as curation, but investors translate it as reduced influencer gravity. In a city where momentum is everything, the Sussex content pipeline feels clogged. Many concepts, few green lights. It's the Hollywood equivalent of a traffic jam on the Pacific Coast Highway. Scenic, but immobile. So picture the board. King Charles stands at the centre, sword raised, knight in place. Beside him, David Beckham, global, glamorous, newly Sir. Across the ocean, Harry scrolls phone feeds that once adored him, now buzzing with coronets placed on another beloved Brit. A single ceremonial tap outranks months of podcast monologues. It reminds courtiers, critics, and streaming giants that monarchy's oldest power isn't control of law, it's mastery of narrative. Thrones survive because they leave just enough room for legends to grow. And knighthood is legend-making on demand. The question closing every tabloid column now isn't whether Beckham deserves the honour, it's whether the Sussex playbook can ever outshine a 1,000-year institution that rewrites its own myths in real time. Data says branding is loud, bloodlines are louder. And somewhere inside Windsor's stone walls, a king sheathes his blade, knowing he hasn't spoken a single harsh word. Yet everyone in the realm can hear the echo. Which side of that echo do you believe will last? Comment below, because the next move might already be on the palace calendar.